Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you for welcome. Alli, are you out there with us?
I am.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us today on our segment of 22 Motivational Minutes with Marlo, where we connect and collaborate with experts in the industries, published authors, and fascinating people. So as a Chief Inspirational Officer, I'm very focused on the development of people by unearthing their values, their talents, and their self-worth, which is otherwise known as that self-esteem factor, which is a huge part of our success. People matter, self-worth matters, time matters. And when that all aligns, everything works. So today, I am just so excited and absolutely delighted to have Alli Mang, who comes to us from Toronto, Ontario. Today, I'm going to share a little bit about who Alli is, and we'll go from there. Are you good with that, Alli?
I am so good with that, Marlo, and thank you for having me.
Oh, absolutely. All right, so people understand who we have with us today. Just an amazing background. And just to give you a flavor, Alli is a multi-million-dollar national brand spokesperson and an award-winning, result-oriented sales and personal branding expert. She helps her clients capitalize on how to sell themselves with optimal success. Alli's been in the business for more than 31 years, and her career has been thriving in a work environment where the pressure to deliver results is measured by the minute. Not by the day or the week, but by the minute. And Alli's going to share a little bit of her background and what she's talking about there. Alli's success stems from working on both sides of the entertainment industry, both as a producer of multiple concert events, as a performer and an actor in nearly 100 national commercials, stage productions, and TV, as well as clocking in over 1,400 hours of live television, unscripted hosting on the Worldwide Home Shopping Network. And so this is where, Alli Mang, thank you for being part of this today.
I am absolutely thrilled, Marlo. I love your title, and I love everything you're doing. And you know what? The fact that it all drives to self-esteem is so exciting, because really that's the essence of any good book. If you can get inspiration and your own sense of confidence and just drive and energy, that is the essence of a good book. And that's certainly what I've tried to do with my book, Your First Moment Earns You More Moments.
Absolutely, and that's what I want to talk to you today about. You are a published author. This is not your first book, but the one that I want to talk to you about, and you just released it. I think the timing of this is just perfect. And again, as you mentioned, the title is Your First Moment Earns You More Moments, and it helps out-of-work professionals get noticed and get hired. And boy, I know that there are people right now that are tapped into this podcast that just want to say, tell me all about this, Alli. What are we doing? So jump in and share what led to creating this book.
You know what? A sense of need to understand, I am out of work. I don't at the moment feel like I have any, opportunities, what's going on. And when you're downsized, that's how you feel. When you're fired, that's how you feel. When your contract ends, that's how you feel. And instead of just staying in that kind of gray area of, oh my gosh, I don't know what I'm going to do, I wrote a book that people can pick up. It's short. It's chock full of all kinds of different things, examples of people just like you and I who are working, what makes them stand out, differentiates, what gives them energy, and even in the down times, they still have a sense of direction and forward movement. I think the worst thing that when we're out of work is we're so afraid. Obviously, it's money. We need to continue to pay for our kids and food on the table and all the rest. But after those types of kind of more monetary things, we wonder, will I ever get hired again? What is going to be that jump from maybe to yes with the decision makers, And that is really the key. It's basically making it obvious for the decision makers who are interviewing you to make it obvious for them to say yes to you. And how does that get done? It gets done by you knowing what makes you special, what differentiates you specifically from a professional standpoint to a personal standpoint. And it starts with a handshake. It starts with that opening letter. It starts with your social media platform and the kinds of things you are posting. Is it inspirational? Is it political? Is it everything we do? Literally, contributes to our reputation. And I talk a lot about that in the book as well. So this is a book for people who are out of work, who are maybe not satisfied with the book they're doing. And I start the entire book with Mark Twain's quote that says, "The two most important days in your life are the day you were born and the day you find out why."
Well, yes, and I love it. I love it. And it's absolutely true. And I love the other element of this book is the way that it's so approachable and how you teach people, like through that stepped-out, customized plan of action. I believe that's one of the best takeaways there is to this book. So tell me, and tell our audience how you arrived at creating that type of book, where it's like kind of bites and chunks and act now.
Yeah, it is all about act now. I think it really comes from hundreds and hundreds of auditions that I've had to do, auditioning in front of panels of 20 to, one camera with auditioning for Paramount. But the guy who was actually responsible for auditioning me is some greasy-haired guy who's got a coffee, cup to the right, and his girlfriend is reading sides that I'm auditioning for, like a big part. And you have to figure out how to make your magic within. You can't get it from the guy who's just going, okay, next. Like, I don't care because they've hired me to be the videographer. I don't care about what you're doing. And my girlfriend just happened to have the day off. So that's why she's reading the script, right? I mean, these are the types of challenges that actors have every day. So we have to come in that room, that door, whether it is the lowly camera guy or it's like the biggest Broadway directors, sitting there knowing that they have so much knowledge and so much background that every single step you take onto that stage or into that audition room, every single step matters because they can see, they can feel, is this person going to be, even interestingly enough to give her 5 minutes? And that's why I wrote it. Your first moment earns you more moments because you have to find the magic, I talk about it in a more of a business sense, the differentiating factor within you. And it's not just one thing, but it often is that one special thing. Is it your sense of humor? Is it your sense of true insight into yourself and connecting with others and all of those winning prescriptions is what makes you different. But if we don't have any insight about ourselves, today's the day you must start. And my book will help you get there very, very quickly. Because I wrote it out of a sense of need to figure out, okay, can I just put this down in a small little book that even if somebody reads a page, they'll get some inspiration? And that was the whole motive. And I hope I've done it. People say that, they're really getting some fabulous things from just reading a page. So this is all a good thing.
Absolutely. No, it's a great thing. And I think so many people need to be tapped into this because you talk in the book, too, about, who you are, your personal values, expertise, mindset, and reputation. So those are some really key components to that personal brand. And the one thing I want to pull out of there, and this is the thing I love to deal with people the most, is that mindset, right? It's like really fueling up ourselves to even understand that we have that personal power and we are different, right?
Yes.
So talk about competition in today's world. How does mindset play into it through your experience and why that's powerful?
That's a great question, Marlo. I would say, this is what I would say about mindset, and it's actually, I'm quoting Mark McCoy, who is the gold medal Olympian who did my foreword. And he talks about mindset because I talk about it in the book. And he said, to me, that is the key to success. Accepting failure, learning, making no excuses, persevering, and never quitting are his definitions of personal success, and certainly my definition as well. Mindset is ready for the game, ready for anything. And that comes with behind-the-scenes preparation. In my chapter 7, I have become a marketing machine. I think oftentimes when we're out of a job, then the whole thing is, gosh, I haven't redone my resume in 9 years since I had my first job. Or, and part of the whole thing when you're out of a job or you've been downsized or wherever you are, you're not prepared at all to actually be ready to go out to market. So part of it is you're really on your heels. You're not ready. You're not on your toes like an athlete or a tennis player. You know how they're ready to receive that first serve? You're not in that place at all. And that's what this book will do. It'll just give you a checklist. It'll help you get to that place where you're organized, where, it's just like some of the best contact software out there, where you just, takes a little while to set up, but once you set it up, then you just kind of tweak it every once in a while, and you add a little of this and you add a little of that. It helps to build the totality of your professionalism, and even as a young person, it's the best thing you could do. I was just thinking, my niece just recently decided she's got a great job, but you know what? She said, I'm kind of feeling a little unsatisfied. She's 23, and God love her. I think that's amazing. Good for you to already.
Yes. Right.
Good for you to already think, okay, am I getting enough out of this job? And luckily, she's not one of many, old or young, who have this feeling of entitlement that, hard work is not going to, necessarily mean that I'm going to be the success of the lifetime. She is a hard worker. Anyway, she went out for this job and she said, Auntie Alli, I don't have a resume. And I said, well, I guess you better create one then. And she was this, and she was all worried, and she went to the interview. She didn't end up getting the job, but she got really close. She was in the top 3 of that kind of the interview. So that was really great. And I said, okay, so what's the takeaway from that? You didn't get the job, which oftentimes we measure as the success, and anything else from not getting the job is not a success, which, by the way, I totally disagree with. But, and she said,
I agree.
Thank you.
Right.
The takeaway was, now I have a resume, and now I can continue to tweak it. And now I understand, with the volunteer hours that my, elementary school demanded of me, the coaching, she volunteers at a foundation to help adolescent suicide prevention. I mean, she said, now I understand why these are important components to my resume, because it helps differentiate who I am as a person. And people look at that, and I said, amen.
Right. So you bring up, so the one thing that I like to talk to people about, and we're both in the people business, but, seek your success, nothing less. And that's really what you're sharing, asking people to do is really tap in, what have you done and why does that matter? And don't you think that lands, and that's a huge differentiator. Talk to us a little bit about that and how to unearth that within ourselves.
Great question again. And it's interesting. Sometimes the quiet moments of life. Sometimes when you are out of work, this is what I say right at the beginning of the book as well. Have you ever considered that where you are right now is preparing you for something huge that you never would have imagined? Have you considered that? Because, the quiet moments are the points often when we're out of work, or, we're sitting maybe at the hospital waiting for our son to get his cast on or whatever, and all of a sudden things occur to you. And sometimes I think it's those quiet moments that are the biggest blessings, if we can see them as that, and to sort of infuse this quiet confidence within ourselves. So how to arrive at the differentiating? I certainly have some exercises. It's called your vision statement, and I have provided over 500 words, and I've done this exercise probably for the past 25 years with CEOs, university students, my niece and nephew, by the way, who were at the time 19 and 20, and they were thinking, why is she making us do this? With moms, with a lady, I did this vision statement with one young mom, and she was, she came in because she was professionally a little bit unsatisfied, and she wanted to understand she was going to get back into the job market. And we did this vision statement, which takes 45 minutes, and it basically, I ask you to pick out words that I've provided that best describe you and get it down into a 10-word either State of the Union address or the best possible job review that you would ever hope to get. So it really focuses your mind, and I give you 45 minutes to do the entire exercise, because speed and the urgency often does make you, I would say, express yourself raw and the real parts of you. So how you get the vision statement and how you figure out what differentiates you. This is a great exercise in there, and lots of people are loving it. I also did the exercise with someone who, he was a CEO client of mine for years, and he called me about 2 years ago, and he said, "Hey, Alli, can I take a few minutes with you?" And I said, "Absolutely." He said, "I've just been diagnosed with stage 9 prostate cancer." And of course, my heart sunk, and I went, "I'm so sorry. Thank you for sharing." And he said to me, "Do you mind doing the vision statement with me?" And I said, "I would be thrilled." So, the exercise basically makes you really think about, well, what does make me special? And as I talked earlier about the auditions, you got to figure out the magic inside you, because that is going to be what the hook will be. And as you said, the connection with people. People will be absolutely drawn to your magnetism, but you have to know what that is inside you, and everybody's different.
Absolutely. Oh, and I love it. And that's the thing I love about this book is, the tips and the pointers here. Can you share with us a little bit about the Lilypad strategy on pages 87 and 89? Talk to us about that and why that's an important principle for your personal success.
I love it. Well, the Lilypad strategy, it's actually something I trademarked. I loved the idea of a lily pad. If you ever actually look at them, they're waxy, they're quite sturdy, but they have an amazing amount of flexibility. And they're actually meant to protect the little critters that are on there, that they can sit there and then they can bounce from one lily pad to the next equally. But the interesting thing about the lily pad is, even though it appears to be this little surface, sometimes the roots go down 25 feet. And to me, it's such a great image about instant success takes a lifetime to achieve.
Wow.
And that's what I mean about, personal branding is the totality of everything you do, and is the culmination of all of your professional assets from this day forward. The Lilypad strategy starts with the hook, the thing that really differentiates you. And the hook is used in music production. It's used certainly in jingles. It's used in script production. It's used in everything. It's used in my book. My hook is your first moment earns you more moments. That's my hook.
Nice.
But then the other lily pads on the extra are all about, it's directed 100% from a sales direction. So, with customers, inspiring them to take action, closing the sale, and making sure that you are covering all their objections. This is what we do in sales. It's certainly what I do in on-air sales. But the lily pad is you fluidly go from one to another, and it looks like you're just dancing and it's easy as pie. But there is a prescription to what you're doing, and this just gives it a really nice little package to help people understand. So if I go into an interview, I got to know what is my differentiating factor for sure. Okay, I got it. I really know. And then that's connected to, what if the interviewer says, "So I see on your resume that, you've volunteered for so-and-so for 4 years. Tell us about that." And then it gives the opportunity to talk more and more about what differentiates you. And if they do go, I disagree with what's happening, then you're able to say, "Oh, but here's exactly why I do it." And if it's all based from your own sense of magic and what gives you energy, people are going to get that. People are going to get that.
Absolutely. So really knowing who you are, and that right there is just, I think, the cornerstone to everything. And that's what this book is helping you do. It's just, page by page, it's sharing how you can differentiate and really understand how to tap into that. So as you talk about like being in that interview, what kind of advice or tips, Alli? I mean, you've got a great background here from starting, when we've connected, you started in the aluminum carbon steel sales rep industry, right? And then you ended up as being like the home shopping network guru. And right, there's like such a beautiful universe that you've been in. So talk to me, really knowing who you are, why that matters. How have you taken yourself from, being in sales to being in front of the camera?
It's a really great question, and I wish I could just be so brilliant to come up with one line that would just, finish it off. I would say this. I am an insatiable entrepreneur. I have an insatiable amount of curiosity about people, about what makes people tick. I have always approached my life a little bit like I was at a science experiment, in the sense that I wanted to see, well, what else do I do? I mean, in one day, and this is just recently, this is what I get a kick out of. In one day, I did a 90-minute keynote speech. I started the speech with 4 singers and myself, with an accompaniment. We belted out Barry Manilow's song, One Voice. It was like the audience was like, what's going on? We're expecting somebody with a pinstripe suit just getting up and, looking at the audience with their glasses and starting at the lectern. What are they doing? And I finished that keynote speech, and then I went to sell on the shopping network. I had 2 hours there, and I did that. And then I came home to write the 3rd book that's coming out shortly. And it was like the greatest blend of the different things in my life. And I think oftentimes when we get into jobs, we get so focused and we're not aware about all the other great gifts we've been given that have never been used. And I think that, to me, life is all about seeing it's like the spaghetti. Throw it up on the wall. If it sticks, great. If it doesn't, so move on. Don't take it all so seriously. Yes, of course it's life and death. Are you kidding me? When I sing, when I do anything, of course I put my whole heart and soul into it. But not everything's going to work out perfectly, and that's okay. Do I have time to tell you one quick story?
I would love that. Yes. And then, absolutely. Jump in and then talk about your ability to move on. I mean, your commitment, your energy, and knowing how to show up oozes out of you. So, share that story with us. And how do you move on, Alli?
You know what? I'll do the move on first, because otherwise when I get into my story, I might forget. There is a technique to moving on. I got to tell you. And I talk about in my book, I don't think anyone actually talks about what it is like to be unemployed. And when the phone isn't ringing, when you're not getting emails, nobody talks about that. At least I haven't seen it in any of the books to the raw degree that I do. But I know what it's like, because I've auditioned hundreds of times, and I'm telling you, I don't always get the job, right? Not that I wasn't the best, but sometimes the best isn't what they want. They want the best, but she has to have red hair and purple feet. So I can't change the color of my feet. So I have to go in knowing that I already don't have purple feet, but I know they're looking for someone with purple feet. But you know what? I'm still going to do a really great job at this audition, because it contributes to my reputation, and the people in that room are talking all the time. So they'll go, okay, so we had this great girl. She came in. She did a really good audition, really interesting, blah, blah, blah. She had purple feet, which is why she didn't have purple feet, which is why she didn't get in. But I got to tell you, if you want this and this and this, you got to call her back in. And that is one of the biggest points, I think, is about people who don't interview that often. They put everything into that one interview. And if they don't get it, they are absolutely crushed. You can't be. You can't allow yourself.
Right. Bounce back. Yeah, that is a key element. And, learning from you, Alli, I think you've been there and you've done that. And I think that's why this, what you have to say and how you write it in your book is everything, because people need to know how to do those types of things from somebody who's been there and done that. You've experienced it to the core, and that's just, there's huge value in that. So I'm so grateful that you're able to share that. Okay, so you've got a fun story for us. Tell us about that before we close out today.
Okay, thank you, by the way. You are such a fabulous interviewer, and I love your inspirational style as well. I mean, the interesting thing about our conversation today is, energy begets energy, and inspiration begets inspiration. And I think that if we can do that for each other, we are so in a winning position. So here's my story, and it goes back to the keynote speech. And I talk about it a little bit in my book. After the speech, and 90 minutes, that was the first time I'd ever done 90 minutes. That's a lot of talking. I mean, Marlo, you know that. And, the audience was filled to capacity. And just before I went out, the coordinators came up to me and said, you got to pick it up, because the last person lost them, and the audience is starting to, sleep, and they're getting really bored. And I'm like, okay. And I acted really cool on the outside, and I was just freaking out. So I started, as I told you, with this song with 4 singers, and we just killed it. And then the singers went off, and I said, so this is my first moment. do I get to get a few more moments with you guys? Are you interested in what I have to say? And they were like, yes! Good for them, right? But the point was, that was my first moment, that the only moment I had 100% control over. Once it goes out into the public, now everybody has an opinion. Luckily, they said yes to me. My job is to always make it obvious for people to say yes through my own differentiating power, through what makes me feel excited inside. And it can't be written down. It's absolutely got to be in your soul. Anyway, I did the speech. It was directed 100% to my message, your first moment earns you more moments. And, it was really fun. I actually got the audience of 500 people who I've never met, no idea, different backgrounds, different ethnicities. And I got them to do the vision statement exercise that we talked about earlier in our interview here today. And everybody did it. And it was like a silent, people are writing down, they're circling words. And then I had a few people share their vision statement with the crowd. People were crying, people were clapping. It was the most emotionally driven moment. It was so wonderful, and I was grateful to have been a part of it and to have been, part of the conduit. We all kind of jumped in and said yes to the experience. So after the speech was over, there was like a 10-minute break while the next keynote speaker was coming on, and I was gathering up my high heels and my charts and everything else I had. And the coordinator came up to me and I said with a big smile, so how did I do? Because I do like getting feedback. I'm an athlete, so, it's important. And she said, well, for a keynote speak, I'll give you 10 out of 10. And I was, oh, that's nice. For a sales speech, it stunk. And then she walked away.
Oh boy.
And I was dumbfounded. I thought, well, wait a minute. So then I went back and I started to think about the markers of what I feel is a successful connection and moment in time when you get a chance to shine, to share your magic, to share within. And I said, well, they said yes to things they could easily have said no to. They clapped, they laughed. I made adjustments when I felt that I was losing them, and blah, blah, blah. So I said to myself, well, overall, I think it was a pretty darn good speech based on what they gave me back. And of course, there's things to improve, but that's true for everything. And I said, well, you know what? I'm going to choose not to listen to her. Perhaps she had her own agenda. Maybe she wanted to scare me. Maybe she just had a fight with one of her coworkers. I didn't know. But that moment, I realized something, that not everyone will get what you have to bring, but that cannot stop you from absolutely finding everything inside you that makes you excited, that gives you magic, that gives you that differentiating power, because that is what's going to make you continue and grow your professional career. And I'll tell you, it was one of the greatest things that I ever learned. And I so appreciated her coming up and kind of attacking me, because I realized, hey, wait, so that's my little story.
Absolutely. No, it's wonderful. And what you're stating there is feedback matters, right? And it's how we accept the feedback. And you chose to empower yourself through that process instead of beating yourself down. And it's so easy for anybody who's in the public eye, running a business, being an entrepreneur, trying to pick themselves up off the ground again. Maybe they don't have that job. And being able to take whatever lesson just was learned or shared with them and turning it into a positive. And I think you do that so valuably, and with this book, it's so powerful. So again, we are talking with Ali Mang, who is the author of Your First Moment Earns You More Moments, and it helps people that are maybe they're out of work professionals. You get noticed, you get hired, and that is the key element to success. So to learn more about Ali Mang, you can simply visit our website at marlohiggins.com. where you can learn how to obtain this book and her other books as well. Ali's got multiple books out there that can help you in today's workforce and just in the world in general. You can connect to her resources and add Ali to your circle of influence. And so thank you for joining us today. We invite you to share this podcast with others. And we thank you, Ali, for your partnership and igniting success throughout, who it is that we're working with, and I'm so excited for you and blessed to be on this call, and I know that this book brings big value. So thanks, Ali, for being here with us today.
Thank you, Marlo. It was an honor.
All right. Have a great day. Thank you very much.